Hey, how's it going? My name is Art. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a really weird couple of days for me, but that's okay. That's life. Um, one of my best friends, his father died, and I don't know if it was COVID related or anything like that, but it really tore him up and his mom up and stuff like that. So talking to him for a hot second last couple of days. And let's just put it this way: things hit hard, life hits hard, but you still gotta. But you gotta be there for the people you can and try to keep people in mind. You know. But anyway, what I want to talk about today is something that me and Taylor Made Man, we had a discussion. And he also did a video on this, which I actually saw today. What happens is that usually when I'm working, I put YouTube on. I said, "Oh, let me listen to this video," and the video plays while I'm working. The video is playing, so I can hear what he's talking about. That's how I do for a lot of my videos. A lot of times it's like except for like the comic book mystery boxes. Those are the ones I actually watch a little bit. I look and say, "Oh, okay." I kind of keep an eye on it so I can see what they get. Those ones I don't listen to, but a lot of other things is more I listen to, but I do pay attention to it to a certain extent. We were talking about waitresses and bartenders. Okay. His idea of that is that these are women who do these kinds of jobs that don't want to work. They don't want to work. To him, working at Kroger's or a supermarket is much more better than working at a bar. Okay? That's in his mind. And that's fine. He's entitled to his opinion. The discussion got a little bit weird because of the fact that, one, I'm looking at it from a logical I look at this from a logical perspective. He's looking at it more from an experience perspective. Now, mind you, I have no idea if he ever worked as a bartender or at a restaurant. I have no idea. I don't know. If he did, since I have worked in restaurants, I have seen waitresses, worked with waitresses, I've worked with bartenders. So I have a kind of an inside viewpoint. At one point, I was a waiter. So I saw the viewpoint immensely. So a lot of times when I go out to eat, I understand how a waiter or a waitress act or be about because I had that same experience myself. Whether I made a mistake or someone else made a mistake. Okay? That's why a lot of times when I go to a restaurant, I keep my cool because I used to do this. And I understand it. But here's the thing. Number one, I'm going to use myself as an example for all this. In a minute. Most reason why a lot of women choose those kind of jobs, and believe me, they choose this kind of job. One, they can actually perform these kind of jobs because not everybody can do it successfully. It's the fact that, one, it's easier money. It is easier money, and you get your money that day. You get paid every day. Compared to working at a restaurant, wiping down shopping carts or being a cashier. In Taylor's example, a cashier who worked at a job at a grocery store for 10 years will have some kind of seniority. Yeah, they will. But the problem is, they're only going to be making a little bit more than minimum wage. Okay, they're only going to make a little bit more than minimum wage. And one of the things I could tell you that is like, for example, minimum wage in I think Michigan is like $8 to $9 an hour. At certain grocery stores, some of these people who's working there for like 10 plus years, their stores are trying to get rid of them. They're trying to get rid of them because they cost too much money for them. So what happened is, you might make like $10 to $15 an hour being a grocer, but guess what? Self checkout kind of takes away your job. So that way, instead of cashier, you're bagging, or you're hustling carts, or you're helping out stock. What they do in a lot of cases like this, whether you're in fast food or whatnot, they only give you 20 hours a week. They only give you 15 to 20 hours a week, or maybe even 25 at tops. So sometimes you have to work a second job just to make basic ends meet. 20 years ago, a cashier or whatever, cleared privacy trackers. Really? Yeah, clear. 20 years ago, you could work that job for 20 to 30 hours a week, or even 40 hours a week, and that's not an issue. It's not an issue whatsoever. Most places don't want to work you that much because it costs too much money. Okay? Now, I said some places. Places like that, I'm talking about like McDonald's, fast food places, definitely. I used to work at Bob Evans as a dishwasher. I was working about 40 hours a week. Okay? I was working 40 hours a week. This was 20, 30 years ago. I don't know what it's like today because I don't work there today. I got a job. I got a professional job, so I don't have to do that. But the thing is that back then, I seen the waitresses make more money than I do. They're walking home with $30 to $40 a day. But the funny thing is, so in a 5-day work week, they're bringing home $200 to $300, while my take home was like $170. Okay, that's it. People who work in bars and stuff like that, they work it because the fact that it fits their lifestyle. Some of those waitresses and stuff like that, they're going to school during the day, so they work at the bar at night to make their money. And believe me, it all depends where they work at. Some people work at a dive bar, and some dive bars don't make too much money. Some people work at sports bars. Some people work at high-end clubs. Okay, different client and have different clientele. Your clientele determines how much money you're going to make. I remember when I was going to the bar scene, every waitress, it was at a sports bar. Every waitress was bringing home at least $200 to $300 a night. $200 to $300 a night. So if you was a waitress at this bar when I was going there drinking on the weekends, you made $500 to $600 a weekend. While compared to someone who worked as a cashier will make no more than $150 for the whole entire week. I've seen it. One of the girls who worked at one of the bars I was going to, she's like, "Hey Art, can you take me? Art, can you drive me home because I don't live too far and all this other stuff?" I said, "Fine, no problem." So what happened? The bouncers knew that I was going to drive her home and everything else because for whatever reasons, no hanky panky or anything like that. It was just friendship kind of thing. So what happened was, I'm driving. Now back then I was working in I just started my professional job. I was like 1 or 2 years into my professional job, and we say, okay, fine, go, come on in. What happened? So I came in, and the funny thing, it was a busy that night. She was counting. Then she counted another time. Then she counted one more time. Then she asked me to count it. I was like, okay, fine. $350. Saturday night, this girl made $350 serving drinks. Now, according to Taylor Miller, they're serving poison. Well, guess what? You think about it. That cashier, that car, they sell poison there too. They sell non-healthy foods. They sell alcohol there. You can go to this store and buy alcohol. You can. So but the problem is, the job determines what you do. So what happens is a lot of these girls, they make this kind of money. So guess what? If I brought home $300 a day, let's do some math. I don't know how this is going to work. So let's see. Okay, got the trusty calculator. Let's say a minimum wage is, let's say $10 an hour, okay? Multiply that by 40 hours a week. That's $400 a week gross. That's gross. So which means your net will probably be like maybe $280, maybe $70 to $80 will be from tax, maybe up to $100 will be from tax. Let's say about $70 to $80 from taxes, all those taxes. So your check is $320. So you worked a full week being a cashier, dishwasher, anything. But what happens? That waitress that one night brought home more than that. That's why they go do those things. That's why they do that. Because they bring home that at night. If it's a really great night, they bring home that kind of money. If it's a slow night, they might be bringing home $80 to $100, maybe even $30. When I was a dishwasher, I worked at this restaurant, okay, and I was making like every 2 weeks $300 to $400, okay. All right, fine. Then after a while, they say, okay, all right, you're gonna be bussing half the time and dishwashing half the time. So what happens? You love the fact that when you was bussing, you know you brought home money that night. So you might be bringing home between $30 to $50 that night. Okay. Plus you got the dishwashing. So what happens for 5 days? You might be washing dishes 4 days, but bussing one. So that one day you bring home $30 to $50. If it's a weekend, you're bringing home at least $50 to $60. If it was a weekday, now this is a 4-star restaurant. If it was a weekday, you might be bringing home maybe 20, like between 20 to 30 at most, maybe. Okay. If you worked on a Sunday and it was very slow, you may be bringing home like $20. Okay. So here's a question. So think about this. Why would any woman work at a bar or restaurant if they can bring home money up to $200 to $300 home a night? You work 5 days. So let's do some more math. Let's say, for example, let's say oops. Oh, dang it. Let's say, for example, the average waitress, bartender, or whatever brings home $200 a night. Okay? Let's say she works 5 nights a week. Bam. That means that bartender / waitress will make up to $1,000 a week. Compared to the shopping cart greeter girl who's whopping that. Compared to those guy who's working at McDonald's or Burger King. Compared to the dishwasher. Compared to this person or that person. That's why they work at those kind of jobs. And tell you the truth, they probably don't really like you. They just do everything they can to make sure you get that. Now, true, to keep that they'll be friendly to you. They'll do everything they can to make you feel comfortable. And when they make you feel comfortable, you're their customer. That's part of the sales job. That's the sales job, to keep you coming back. For example, like in his video, he said there was one girl. Now the funny thing is, this girl, she was going to school. She was going to school, and she was working at the bar at night. That's what she was doing. Okay. How do I know? Because I saw her work. I saw her book that she was studying microbiology. And I was like, and I was helping her. It was a slow night. I was helping her quiz. I was helping quizzing her on her for her for her stuff. Now what happened was, think about it. One day I got a text from her and said, "Hey, come hang out with me tonight. I'm working tonight. Come hang out." And guess what? There was 20 people on the thread. Okay, so here's the thing. That night, you don't know who's going to show up. You don't know. But if you could email or text 20 of your regular customers, maybe 5 of them will show up to help your job, which means that they'll put money in your pocket, which also means they won't be so bored. Okay? That's a normal thing. Now, let's take another look at it. Now, Tony, he complains about this stuff a lot, but every now and then he goes to Hooters. Now, here's the funny thing. Now, during our discussion about all this, in the back of my mind, in the back of this noggin, was like, dude, you go to Hooters. You go to Hooters to watch the football game. So, in other words, you helping these people that you're complaining about. You complain about these waitresses and you complain about these bartenders, but guess what? You're helping them out by going to Hooters. And I'm like, what? But hey, I don't have any hate against that. I mean, here's the thing. So here's the story. Me and him, he's in town in Detroit. We go to a Hooters. So he wants to watch the football game with the Browns versus, was it Buffalo or something? Was it Browns versus Buffalo? I can't remember exactly. Okay. So what happened was, we go there. Now we go there. We sit down there. We sit down there. Got a table. Now think about it. There's cooks. There's dishwashers, a bartender, and servers. The server won't come to your table very much if you're drinking pop or water. But if you're drinking beer, they show up to your table more often. That's always been the case. So what happened was, I said, okay, let's he said, give me a tall boy. Get a tall boy. I said, you mean a pitcher? He goes, yeah, get a pitcher. Now, if you get a pitcher of beer, they're not going to show up as much because all they had to do is look at the beer. They can look at them with beer. But if I was getting bottled beer, that waitress will be at our table every 20 minutes during the game. Hey, how's it going? They'll be in your face. You had to like, get away from me, woman. Get away from me, woman. Yeah. That's what you kind of had to do. But since I had the picture, she could see how much it is. So she don't have to come back as much. But think about this. That day, that waitress that waited on us made more money than the dishwasher and the cook that day. And the funny thing is, this is the kind of thing we were talking about. And this is the kind of thing he complains about. Okay? Now, but that's not the truth of his. I'm trying to figure out why. And he kind of mentioned it, but I don't think he actually realized what he just was talking about. Sorry. I've been having some indigestion problems today. And I just had some Alka-Seltzer within an hour ago. Been drinking Alka-Seltzer on and off for the last couple hours. But I'm fine. The problem is that the people, like for example, lately there's a couple people who've been asked, who've always calls me up and asked me to help them out, pay their phone bill, or help them out with some money, and they work at these bars and restaurants. Okay. Now here's the problem. Working at the bar and restaurant is not the problem. The problem is, what do they do with the money? That's the problem. So what happens is, if Lady X, let me give you one example. We call her the twin. If the twin worked at this bar, made $300 that night, you know what she did with that $300? She bought makeup. She went to Ulta, which is a very expensive place, and bought some makeup. $300 gone. Art, can you help me out with some money? That's the idea. Just like, for example, with my professional job, after I pay all my bills, sometimes I have between $300 to $500 for 2 weeks to do whatever I want. And if you'd see I buy a lot of comics. So if I have a really big comic book shopping spree, that goes down to almost nothing. So then I'm like, ooh, I spent way too much. But I don't call on someone for help. Okay? Okay. Now, and the reason why I'm not going to call now, there's a story I'm going to tell you in the next video, because I wanted to tell it for a while, but I'm going to finally tell it to you. Well, anyway, that's what it is. So it's not the fact. Now, the thing is, if you try to say that being a waitress or bartender because you don't want to work, believe me, if you don't want to work, you wouldn't be doing that. You'd be sitting on your ass doing something. The problem is, it's probably somewhat easier work, but then again, you got to deal with assholes. And sometimes dealing with assholes is stressful. Sometimes you have to deal with people who don't want to tip you. That's also stressful. So there's a lot of other stress involved. Okay? Even those waitresses, they had to tip the bartenders. Think about it. If they charge you $6 for the drink, they get your $6. Then they pay the bartender for that. They pay the bartender. So the tip you give them, that's what they made. They made that. You give them that $1 tip. That's how much they made off of you. $1. So if you only get 5 drinks, she only made $5 off of you. But if it's a busy night and she's constantly going back and forth, slinging drinks, bottles of beer, mixed drinks, and all sorts of stuff, she makes a little bit more dough. Okay? That's it. Now, he said I was defensive. No, I was telling you I was defensive because this is the reality of it. The reality is that it's not the fact that the people who complain to us too much and try to simp off of people. It's the fact that they just blow their money. They just blow their money. They make their money and they just blow it. That's what it is. It's not the fact that they're working at a bar or restaurant. See, here's the thing. If you think that's beneath you, then don't go to Hooters. Don't go to Hooters. Don't go to any restaurants, because guess what? Who you think works there? Waitresses and bartenders. Fast food places gonna go sell poison, because the food there is not healthy. You go to the grocery store. You can go to Walmart, Meijer, or any other grocery store. Guess what? They sell healthy foods, and there's healthy foods in those very small sections, and everything else is not healthy. There you go. No matter what, everything's a poison. But anyway, that's my video for today. And that's typical discussion of my side of that matter, of their conversation. Now, you may agree with me, you may disagree with me, but you got to think about it. Imagine the kind of job that you used to have. If you work a professional job, you don't have to worry about this stuff. But imagine the times when you had to work fast food. If you could have been a waiter or a bartender and bring home $300 a night, would you still do it? Would you do it, or would you stay at McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's? Would you do it? That's a very good question. And for that, I'd like you to ponder on that. So, if you want to give me some replies, that'd be awesome. If you want to say, hey, Art, you know what? I agree with Tony, let me know down below. If you want to say, Art, you put some really good points. Both of you guys made some really good points. Let me know down below. If you think, Art, you kind of put this information, you kind of put this out there in a very, really awesome way, or a confusing way. Clarify that. Put it down below. All right. Now, since I said put it down below, like it, dislike it, and subscribe it. That'll be much appreciated. And I'll put out some more silliness like this in the near future. Is there anything else I need to say? Nope. Okay. Goodbye.